Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Phay, and welcome to the channel. So, did you hear about the guy that was afraid of hurdles? He got over it. Today, we're taking a look at Car Wars 6th edition from Steve Jackson Games. In Car Wars 6th edition from Steve Jackson Games, 2 to 4 players are going to assemble a car. You're going to go into arena. You're going to maybe race. Maybe a demolition derby type arena. But anyways, you're going to compete against each other for whatever the scenario may be to see who can come out the number one car or even the number one team. Because you can play it several different ways. Okay. Now, depending on the number of your sets is also going to depend on the number of players. Like I said, it can be a 2-player game, a 4-player game. If you have multiple sets, you can even play, say, a 6 or an 8-player game, however you so want to do it. Okay, but I'll tell you what. Let me explain how to play the game, and then I'm going to give you my final thoughts. All right, folks, in order to play the game, the first thing you got to do is you have to set up your arena, and you also have to build your cars. Okay, now I'm not going to cover everything in this in this review. I'm just going to kind of highlight a couple different things just because there is a lot going on here. All right. But once you have your arena set up and you figure out actually what you're going to play, whether it be a race or checkpoints or just go into arena and smash each other up, then you have to build your cars. Now, in order to build the cars, what you have to do is you have to determine how many build points do you guys want to use for that. And I'm actually using my book to make sure that I cover highlight the stuff that I really want to highlight. And so what happens is you determine your build point value. If you do a build point value of 24 or less, then you got it. Then all of the gear and equipment and stuff you have, you cannot use anything that costs 6 or more. Okay, and you're also using the damage deck for the small cars. If you do a build point of 25 or higher, then you can use anything you want, but you're using the damage deck for the large cars. Okay, that's a big thing to remember. All right. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to determine, okay, what's our build point value going to be, and then how many armor points we're going to use and how many crew points we're going to use. The armor points is what value everyone's going to set their armor on their dashboard. The crew points is how many points you're going to be able to spend for a driver or a gunner, any weapons they may have, and any accessories they may have in their car as well. Now, you always get a hand cannon. I believe it's like a pistol, okay? And the one card works for both driver and gunner. You don't have to have 2 cards, okay? But they may have an additional weapon. So if you have a weapon and a hand cannon, well, okay, you do have that one weapon that can fire only once, okay? One of them can fire it. And whatever they're going to have. And then you're going to have the build points. Now, the build points is what you're going to use to build out your car. All right. The number on all of your cards in the upper right-hand corner is going to tell you how many build points it's going to take for that one particular item. You're going to use that to buy weapons, armor, tires, different upgrades, and everything else, but you cannot exceed whatever that build point value is. Also, take a note that some of the items are only available for the back of the car or the front of the car or maybe the sides of the car. Okay, so keep that in mind in consideration. All right, now once you have everything done, take your speed dial, set it to 2, take your engine dial, set it all up to 10, take your tire dial, set it all up to 10, and you guys are ready to go. Now what's going to happen is one person's going to get the start player token, and that token, figure it out however you want. I mean, you can rock, paper, scissors, you can roll the dice, whoever gets the most hits, you can just say, you know what, you came to my house, you go first, regardless. Now we're ready to play. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to check your sequence of play card, and you just want to go right down that card, that list. Okay, and I highly recommend, especially when you're playing this for the first time, you just do everything step by step by step by step by step, because I know some people that just get really kind of confused on some of the middle steps, and I'm going to cover that for you. So the first thing you do is you check speed. If you are going faster than what your car will allow, okay, and there's based on different damage you've taken, sometimes your speed's going to get reduced. You reduce your speed to what it is at this point, and this is done simultaneously. Also, simultaneously, you take all of your ace tokens and your control tokens. Now, control tokens, what you're going to do is you're going to look at your dashboard, and any control symbol that you see on the dashboard, and I think you start off with 6, you're going to get all those control tokens. Okay, as you start taking damage and whatnot, the number you get at the beginning of every turn is going to change. But also remember, your driver, your gunner, and even some cards may allow you to have other control tokens or ace tokens. Okay, make sure you check all that as well. And then what you're going to do, and I do this starting with the start player, is you're going to manage fires. So if you have a part of your card that is on fire, what's going to happen is you are going to take 1 point of damage unless you spend 2 control points or 2 control tokens in order to put out that fire. Okay, you may want to, you may not want to, totally your choice. If you take the damage, you just reduce your armor, but leave it on fire because now you got to deal with this next turn. Go around the table and do all that. Now, starting with the first player, what you're going to do is you're going to move your card. Okay. Now, whatever your speed is, you can go up or down by 1. All right. So if you're going at a speed 2, you can go up to 3, or you can go down to 1, your choice. Now, there is hard acceleration, hard deceleration, okay, which may take some damage or whatnot that you can do. Check your rule book for that. So you're going to speed of 2, you want to leave it alone. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to take the measuring guide and you're going to put it right up next to your car, and you have to move 2 spaces. So, but you're going to be turning and everything else between each one. So the very first thing you have to do is you have to move your car straight forward. Okay. And then you're going to turn it, or there's also the D0 slide. I'll cover that here in a second. But what happens is if you go just straight forward and you don't do any turns or anything else except for maybe that little slight turn, that's a no risk, no reward maneuver. You're just going straight. Okay. But if you decide to turn your car and you go into the green, the yellow, the red, or the white areas, okay, what you're going to do is you're going to take an ace token because you're doing a maneuver, all right, and you slide your car over the top of that thing, and then you set it to exactly where you want. Slide that thing out. Now we have to make a maneuver roll. So what you're going to do is you're going to take 2 yellow dice based on whatever your speed is, and you're going to take 1 dice for every one of those things that you went past. So say you did a D3 maneuver, you're going to take 2 yellow dice, and you can take a green dice, a yellow dice, and a red dice, and you're going to roll those dice. All right. Any wrench that comes up, you're going to take a tire damage, and any shield that comes up, you're going to lose a control token. Now, you may have drivers and gunners that mitigate some of that. Take care of that at this point in time. If that was your first maneuver, now you have to go your second time. If you do another maneuver, take an ace token, put it off the side, do your maneuver, do your roll, take any damage that you may have taken. Now, everyone's going to do that maneuver, all right? And this is where people get confused, because some people do their maneuver and then they do the combat, but nope, everybody does their maneuver. Once everyone's maneuvered their card, now we're in the combat phase. Now what you're doing is you're going to attack your opponent. So starting with the first player, you look and see what weapons you have that are in a range of your opponent and also within their firing arc. Now you have a gunner and you have a driver, if they're both still alive. Each one of them can fire 1 weapon, and each weapon can only be fired 1 time, except for the hand cannon pistol they have. They both can actually fire that because it's assuming they both have that sidearm in their car. So what you're going to do is you're going to figure out, okay, what weapons can hit that my opponent, and then you're going to look at that card, and it's going to tell you what dice you get to roll. You gather up all that dice. Look at your driver and your gunner, and grab any additional dice that you may need as well, and then roll all those dice. Now, your card may also say that different things happen. It may say that if you roll the little wrench symbol, you're going to be able to, say, do fire or something else. Take that into mind, okay? Remember all that. And also your card may say that it's going to add, like, say, 1 or 2 points of damage automatically to that hit. Take that into consideration. And then once you got your roll, you look at all the little stars. Those are all hits. That's all basic damage. Okay, now your opponent can actually make a defensive roll if they're not out of control, if they still have a single control token. And what's going to happen is they're going to make their defensive roll. They're trying to get all their shields. And for every shield they get for every one of your hits, they're going to block that point of damage. Any damage they cannot block, they're going to take off their armor. If their armor is already gone, any excess damage, then what they have to do is they have to draw a card from the deck that you're using, shuffle it up. There's 6 cards in there. And then you, starting from the top, you just work your way down. And it tells you how many points of damage you can spend on each one of those things. And you just keep going until you're done spending all of those points of damage. Okay. And that's it. And then it's going to go to the next player, and he's going to see where he can shoot. And then you're done. All right. Once combat's done, then you got the end of the round. And that's where you're going to return all of your damage or your control token. You're going to return all your ace tokens that you have. You're going to take your starting player and you're going to pass that to left. And now it's his turn, and now he's going to start. You're going to do the speed check, and you're going to do it all over again. All right. Now this is going to keep going around and around table until finally, eventually, one of your cars is totally blown up, or there's only one car really left on in the arena. Whoever's car is left on the arena wins Car Wars 6th edition. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that was a super high level, and I mean a super high level, how to play this game. There is so much going on. There's a lot of little tiny rules to this game. Every weapon's got its, well, not every weapon, most weapons have their own little rules to it. Pretty much every driver, every gunner is going to have their own little key things. And then every card, every accessory, every upgrade is going to add something to this game that's going to change everything around. Okay, this is theoretically, I mean, like I said, this is a tabletop skirmish game of cars. So there is just a lot going on. And I mean a lot going on. But that's okay because you're not having to do a lot in every particular turn. And each game, as a matter of fact, because you only have to deal with whatever cards you have. Okay. So one of the cool things about this game that I really like, and I'm gonna get into my pros and cons of this game. This game's been out for a while, all right. And I know a lot of you've probably played it. Some of you like it, some of you don't like it, some of you've never heard that they even had a 6th edition out. Okay, so I'm gonna let you know what I think about this game compared to previous versions. Okay, and a lot of the middle ones, like 2nd, 3rd edition, 4th, and 5th editions, I never even played. I stayed away from. Okay. But one of the things I really like about this game is I really like these turn keys, and I really like the way that is done and maneuvering is done and damage is done. I think that's actually a really cool mechanism. I like the fact that whatever your speed is and wherever you're going, you're going to move and then you can actually pivot. Now, depending on how many control tokens you have, how many tire points you have, is also going to depend upon how much you may want to risk your car. I mean, early in the game, do you want to do that full 90-degree turn and roll all those dice and maybe take out a bunch of tires and maybe lose all that control early on? You may want to risk it. Just depends upon what's going on and how your particular scenario is set up. But I think it's a really cool mechanism. I like, you can set up to go either way. The other thing that's really cool, and I didn't cover it a whole lot, was the slide mechanism. So the slide mechanism basically is just it's a D0 maneuver, so you're still going to get the H token. I think I might have covered it some, but you're just going to be able to shift your car. And the cool thing is you sometimes need to do that to shift around an obstacle if you need to, or you can turn and then do a shift, or get you in line, because sometimes the front of your car or the back of your car or your weapon isn't quite in line, and that may be enough just to kind of trigger that. Or you're side by side to a guy, and if you just can shift just a little bit closer, maybe you need that to get into range. Okay, it's a really cool mechanism. I love the way that is done. Okay, it's absolutely fantastic. It just slides right underneath those plastic keys that are holding your car, so nothing's in the way. Absolutely phenomenal. Now, the other thing that I like to go along with that is I like the little plastic trays that the car sits on. Okay, because one of the things I'm going to compare this game to is I'm going to compare this game to Gaslands. I've played Gaslands, and I like Gaslands. Gaslands is a whole lot of fun, and Gaslands is primarily designed where you're taking a Hot Wheels car, you're building it all up, and then you put the keys right up in front of your car. But I've seen some cars that are all over the place in size and width and everything else. So to me, it's kind of not right. Okay, they do have little templates you can use, but I've never played with anybody that's ever played with those. Because if you got this really long car and you're moving him in these big chunks, and someone else has in a littler car and they're still moving, they're not going the same at all. Now, yes, that's kind of representative stuff, but when you put 10 feet of armor out in front of your car, does your car really move that much further faster? Nah, but that's okay. Gaslands is still fun. Car Wars, but those keys and those trays, I actually really like them. Now, one of the cool things about those, and I know I totally didn't cover this, is collisions. Okay, because when you're driving your car, sometimes you want to do a collision. You're going to probably lose control tokens and everything else, but if you have them, do them, because man, you can just ram the other person's car, maybe do a little damage to them, but you just slide your car into theirs slides out of the way, and wherever their car ends up, It may hit something else, which may push your car out of the way if it hits a solid wall. But it's really cool the way that it's done. I like how you're just shifting cards and just sliding everything all over the place. I think it's an absolute fantastic design. Really, really fun. Okay. One of the other things I really like is I really like the dice. Okay. And I like how each dice has different symbols, and there's that risk reward for every single one. You're always looking at your charts, and you're always looking to see which dice do I have to roll. You know what? It's like, if I don't really have any tires, do I want to do a maneuver or something like that that's going to cause me to roll all those black dice? Because, well, you know what? I just don't have tires. All right. Or, do I really want to roll red dice or blue dice even if I don't really have any control tokens? Because there's a really good chance that I'm going to go out of control. Once you're out of control, there's a whole lot of stuff you can't do. You can no longer defend. You have to drive in straight lines, which may take you right to the edge of the map or whatever, or drive you straight into a wall. You always want to try to keep those control tokens, and if you have the ace tokens, those come in handy as well. So I absolutely love all those mechanisms and whatnot. Okay. The other thing that I really like about this one as well, okay, is there's a couple things. Is like, because like I said, I bought a lot of stuff. This vehicle guide, I love this vehicle guide because it just has a whole bunch of cars pre-generated in here. So if you're not the kind of guy that wants to sit there and build out a whole bunch of cars, or you're in a hurry, you just want to go play a quick match, grab that book, boom, find your build point, everybody grabs a car and they go. Are the cars balanced towards each other? No. Do I care? No. I'm out on a table, I'm playing Car Wars, and I'm blowing other things up. That's all I care about. The other thing that's really cool too, and I know I bought this after the fact, but it's the companion, okay? So this is just a lot of extra stuff. This is a lot of scenarios, miscellaneous stuff that you can do, okay? I absolutely love both of those books because they just give me so much more enjoyment when I play this game. So many more options, so many more scenarios, so much more fun to do. Absolutely love both those books. I think they're an excellent addition to this game. And if you have the game and you don't have those books, I highly recommend getting both of those books. Okay. Now, the one thing about this game that I will say can be kind of a negative is building out your car, especially the more stuff you get. If all you have is the base core game, there's not a ton of cards. There's not a lot of drivers, gunners. There's not a lot of equipment, everything else. The decks are really minimal because when you get the base game, what you're doing is every player has the same driver. They have the same gunners. They have their own decks that they're pulling from. So technically, it's never going to happen. But you could build a car, and they can build a car, and you could be 100% identical. Okay, because there's 4 of every card. Okay, well, let's see. There's 4 sets of every card because there's the red. Was it the red, green, blue, and I think it's yellow. Okay. And you're going to get identical cards for each one of those. So if you're playing red, you just boom, here's all the red cards, go build your car. Here's all the yellow cards, go build your car. Okay. I do like how that came about. So that way one person doesn't have something over another. Everybody has the same options to build. Now, one of the things about this game that I have heard, because like I said, it's been out for a while, I've played it a bunch, I've read a few things on it, is there's those min-maxers out there. There's those people out there that are just going to say, you know what? This is the best weapon. You always want to play this weapon. This is the best driver. You only ever want to play with this driver and this gunner and this car. And you always want to do this and this and this. This is the best. Yeah, okay. It may be, but if I'm playing that same one every single time and that same weapon every single time, it's no fun for me. Okay. It's like playing Battletech. All right. Is one mech better than another? Well, yeah, but they're still out there. Okay. Car Wars is the same way. All that weapons are out there, but does that mean that everybody in the wasteland is going to have that same Gauss gun, or everyone's going to have that same mine dropper or something like that? No, they're not. They're not all going to have the same rockets because, well, there's not enough of them out there. You're scavenging for stuff. So that's one of the reasons why one of the things I like is, I'll play with different cards. And sometimes I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do something totally different. And I'm just going to grab a lot of these smaller, weaker cards, but I'm just going to put them all over my card. I'm going to do something totally different. And that's the fun for me. Now I have to do more maneuvering. Now I have to do more driving. I might get a better driver in those situations. I like that. I like the fact that not everything is truly balanced, but I can still have a lot of fun. And I'll tell you what, I've played games where I had what I would consider to be an inferior car, and I've won or I've come really close to winning. All right. It's just, it all depends upon how you start maneuvering, how you start driving. Can you put stuff in your way? How are you going to play the game? That's the fun part to me. It's a tabletop skirmish game. It is a lot of fun. Okay. I love Gaslands. I love Car Wars. I think, to me, both of them are actually in my collection. I think, to me personally, I think Car Wars is the better game just because I love the turnkey. I love the template that the cars are going to be on, that sit on those little plastic trays. I love all the additional support this game has, all the different weapons, all the different cards, and everything it has. You just put the cards all over in your dashboard. You're not going through a book saying this is what I want, writing it down on a sheet and putting it off to the side. I just love the way this game is set up. Okay, it's absolutely fun. It is enjoyable. I'm sorry, I keep looking around, looking at all the stuff that I have scattered all over the place because just every time I pull this game out and I look at it, I just want to put it to the table and I want to play it. I have tons of the maps that they've come out with. I think I have almost all the neoprenes. I have the tile maps. It's just so much stuff. I 3D printed a bunch of terrain and everything else. Absolutely fun game. Absolutely great game. If you like the original version of Car Wars, I think you're really going to like this one here. Now, they had the 6th edition or the 5th edition, 4th, 3rd, 2nd. They had those other editions that kind of did some different things with the different wonky turning keys. Honestly, I never played those. I looked at them and they just never really appealed to me. Not like the original Car Wars in the little case, little plastic case. That was, to me, the best game that was out there. And I skipped all the rest. And I am so glad that 6th edition came out, because 6th edition kind of gives me that feel of the original game, but more in a modern type of a gameplay. And on that tabletop scenario, I love the Hot Wheels size version of the car. So if I want to take a Hot Wheels car and just stick it and glue it on one of those keys, I can totally do it. So build my own. I can take my Gasline cars and I can put them in this and stick them on that key. The possibilities are endless. Okay, but there you go. That is Car Wars 6th edition. I think this is an absolute fantastic version of this game. I love playing this game. It is so much fun. I've played it 2, 3, 4 players. I haven't played it with more than that, but I would love to play it with 6 or 8 and play as a team. Beautiful game, wonderful, love it. I highly recommend this game. Well, thank you once again for joining me today. As always, I please ask you to like this video on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on Facebook, or even on X. Please leave me a comment on any one of those platforms, and I'll get to those comments just as soon as I can. And also, if you like the content I provide here, if you haven't done so already, I humbly ask you to click on the subscription button and even click on that bell and be notified when I drop new videos. Also, folks, if you like the videos that I do here, I also do post videos over on the Discriminating Gamer site. Over there, I'll do some unboxing, some playthroughs, and even reviews over there. I will leave a link to Cody's channel down in the details below. So, tell me, what's blue and doesn't weigh very much? Light blue.